In modern times, Inazuma is known as the Land of Eternity. It is ruled over by the Raiden Shogun, an extraordinarily powerful deity with control over the element of Electro. In the game's story, we travel to this nation and eventually defeat A, the Raiden Shogun. The Vision Hunt decree is repealed, and A decides to think on her ideas of eternity within her plane of Euthymia. However, Inazuma wasn't always a nation of eternity. In fact, it was pretty much the opposite. This is the story of the Nation of Transience, and how a major disaster 500 years ago caused such a drastic change. In the past few weeks, I've made videos about both La Senora and Guizhong, and while we don't know all too much about them, we know even less about Baal. So I'm going to be doing my best to go over what we do know, and how Baal's life affected how Inazuma ended up the way it is today. To start off, like the other Archons we've met, Baal commonly went by another name. Barbados goes by Venti, Morax goes by Zhongli, and Beelzebul goes by A. The name Baal usually went by was Makoto. While she was alive, Makoto was described as a gentle and kind god, and despite disliking violence, she did fight a few times. One of the earliest cases we have of her fighting was, of course, the Arkhan War. The Arkhan War was a centuries-long fight between countless gods across Teyvat as a scramble to claim one of the divine seats of Celestia. In Inazuma, there were actually two gods that emerged victorious. They were the twin gods, Baal and Beelzebul. However, only one could claim a divine seat, so when Baal became the Archon, Beelzebul acted as her Kagemusha, or Shadow Warrior. The people of Inazuma believe that there was only one god, and to this day not many know that there were ever two. The sword that Baal used during the Arkhan War was known as the Muso Ishin. However, after the war, she never sharpened it, as she now saw it as a symbol of true peace. As mentioned earlier, she didn't enjoy fighting, so Beelzebul was usually out doing the fighting against any threats to Inazuma. This would have led Beelzebul to see the price that progress can bring, and made her believe in eternity over transience. As I've also mentioned before, Baal was a kind-hearted and gentle god, but that doesn't seem to go over well for many gods, as we've seen with Havria and Guizhong. Unfortunately, Baal would follow in this trend. Long after the Arkhan War ended, another war would begin, and Baal would have to return to fight for the last time. "500 years ago, the nation of Khaenri'ah was destroyed. The Archons from all 7 nations were sent to battle, and as far as we know, 2 of them lost their lives. The god of the woods was the Dendro Archon, and Baal, the god of Transience, was the Electro Archon. Usually, it would be Beelzebul who would fight the battles, but for some reason, Baal had to fight during the Cataclysm. It is unknown why she did, but her not fighting for over 1,000 years is most likely one of the reasons for her death. With her passing, a new Electro Archon would have to take her place. Her twin sister Beelzebul would fill up the role, and she was granted Baal's Electronosis. This was a lot of responsibility for her to take up, especially now that she had lost her sister, and the Nation of Inazuma was not even made aware of this. Only the other Archons and a few others knew of Baal's death. Under all the stress and pressure from these events, Beelzebul made a decision. This would be the major turning point that eventually led the Nation of Transience to become the Nation of Eternity. When she became the Electro Archon, Beelzebul decided it was time for a change in Inazuma. She knew that with progress came pain, so she reasoned that if nothing changed, nothing could go wrong. She believed this idea would bring her nation closer to the heavenly principles, and thus she promised the people of Inazuma a never-changing eternity, doing her best to protect her new divine ideal. She even went as far as to create a new body for herself. This body would not decay over time, allowing her to rule over Inazuma for all time. She also created a test vessel, and while she initially intended to dispose of him, she let him wander the world as the mortal Kunikazushi. Eventually, he would join the Fatui, who unlocked his innate powers, and he would become known as Scaramouche, the sixth of the Fatui Harbingers. Anyways, after determining that the creation of a puppet body was possible, Beelzebul worked on making a new body that would take on her form. When it was done, she spoke these words, which are found in the description for the Vajrata Amethyst Gemstone. This body is the noblest and most eminent of all in this world. It should hold absolute control over this world. It once promised its people a dream, the never-changing eternity. In the present day, Beelzebul still rules Inazuma through the Raiden Shogun puppet, but after her encounters with the Traveler, she debates ruling the nation directly. Going more into speculation now, perhaps Beelzebul will realize that Baal's divine ideal of transience would be best for her nation, and she might even transition it back to the way things were before the Cataclysm. Only time will tell though, and Inazuma's story is just beginning, so we'll have plenty of time to find out. Anyways, that is all I have for you guys today. Baal is one of those characters who seems so interesting, and who has had such an impact on the world of Genshin today, but we just don't know that much about her. I really hope we can learn more about her soon, perhaps through a quest involving the Raiden Shogun. Either way, I hope you all have an amazing day, and I'll see you all in the next video.